Well, hello, you guys. How are you? You're hanging with Langan right here from my baby sister's home, from Annie Banani. That's where we are. A 9-year-old may run in. The dog, the scary dog that's no longer scary because my sister has trained Riley. Who knows? There's foxes outside. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to have a good time because you're hanging with Langan. So I have a guest today. I've known him for years in comedy, but we had an opportunity to really bond when I did a gig of his recently, a really friggin' great gig, and we'll talk more about that. And I was very impressed because what happens is we live in a time right now. There's something called the Great Resignation, where so many people are quitting their jobs. There's so much supply and demand in the economy right now, so much more demand for jobs and for workers. So people are hanging out there trying to get a better job. Some people are just going, hey, this pandemic taught me something. I want more of my own free time. I want to live large in a different way. So Ray Ellin, a comedian, a television producer, this guy freaking does everything. And he's a writer. He had a really cool show before the pandemic hit it was on Comedy Central, called This Week at the Comedy Cellar. Really great show. So Ray, some people want to go and they want to ditch it all. He only ditched half of it. He didn't ditch all, he ditched half of all. A New Yorker who uprooted his life to spend about 6 months of the year in Aruba, of all places, and it's gorgeous, and started his own comedy club. And I was down there a couple of weeks ago performing, and I was really impressed with what he's been able to create. But I wanted him to join us because things might look really beautiful with your lovely water and the beach, but he works like a dog. So I asked him, would he join me to talk about the reality of really changing one's life in a big way? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Hanging with Langan stage, Aruba Ray Ellin. Are you there? Do I have you in screen yet? There she goes. Hi, you darling.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me, Maureen.
Well, I loved hanging with you. And I learned a lot watching how you work and how you treat people. And I told you I was very impressed and inspired.
Well, thank you. It's very, very kind words. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I first came to Aruba sort of by accident in about 10 years ago, February of 2012, and fell in love with the island.
You like fell off a boat? What do you mean accident?
Well, I was invited. That there was this person who kept coming to my shows, and she started showing up in Manhattan and New York, in Long Island, Connecticut, Jersey. Started getting a little weird. And one day she said, I have a condo in Aruba. Do you want to go? And I was like, no, not really. Thank you, but no. And then a year went by and I realized over that course of that year, she was just a very nice person. And I finished working on a project that I was really burnt out. And I wanted to take a trip. So we came to Aruba, and platonic, friends showed me all around the island. I fell in love with the island, and I kept coming every month, like for 8 or 9 days a month, to Aruba, usually by myself. And it's the total 180-degree, opposite of New York City.
Okay, so before we get to the juxtaposition, if you will, so basically you had a stalker who did not want to have sex with you. Is that correct? Or is it a stalker who you didn't want to have sex with? I don't like burying the lead.
I think we mutually did not want to bang each other.
Well, then why was she stalking you for a year?
She apparently just loved the shows, loved the comedy. Made her feel good.
All right.
For the best reason possible, just because she enjoyed the shows. That's the best reason.
Maybe that's the best reason for you, but by the way, my 9-year-old niece's cup. You don't mind? I don't have mine because I'm at my sister's house.
I think it's adorable. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drinking out of a bottle of Aruba water.
That's funny. The magic man, Aruba Ray. So you begin. All right. So I want to hear more of your trajectory because you eventually you get and start this Aruba Ray's Comedy Club, but that didn't just happen. You started doing what, a week or two down in Aruba? What, a month or every season?
April of 2013, I came down for about 8-10 days, did shows, and I thought that the tourists down here would like the shows. I just didn't know exactly how it was going to work out. I mean, finding a space to do the shows was very challenging. I met, because it's just hard to find space down here to do things. So there was one little theater that had a magician in it, and he was there for every night for 5 years. And I spoke with the GM of the property, and I said, well, if this guy ever leaves, let me know. A month later, I get a call from the guy, the GM. He said, well, the magician disappeared. Do you want the contract? And And I said, sure, send it over. So he emailed me the contract, and I didn't have like a real game plan necessarily. I had an idea of what comics I'd want to bring, and I had and I knew the shows would work. But the matter is, you have to get the word out. Promotion is the toughest thing in Aruba, I'd say. And
well,
so
why
yeah,
is that?
it went well.
Okay, I know it's going well, and I know it's a success, and you knew what comics you wanted to bring down, even though it took you 10 years to get around to me. That's not, even though that's hurtful, I'm beyond that. What I'm trying to say to you, Aruba is a, hold on, Maureen Langham will do this because I'm really professional. Aruba is a relatively small island. So, and there is the hotel area, which isn't huge, but why was it so hard to find a venue?
Well, hard to find a venue because there's not a lot of venues. That's A. And then B, promotion is hard because every hotel wants to keep, for the most part, they want to keep their guests on site, and buying food and, eating and drinking and gambling in their own hotel. So it's like anything, getting the word out is tough. And, so you can't, it's not like you can just stick a huge sign for 1 week in the sands. It's just as comedy. And you can't walk around the beaches in Aruba and bother people and hand them things. You can't do that.
I only noticed one person on the beach when I was there for the week. On the beach, hawking his wares. He's like, man, I can get the wrinkles out of you. I can get the wrinkles out of you. It's Viagra juice. I'm like, oh,
he was selling the aloe. That's Aloe Man. Yeah, he's been grandfathered in. He's been around for like 40 years walking the beach. Yeah.
So listen, somebody loves you. Hey, you guys, if you're on Hanging with Langan on the group page, you must, if you want us to see your name associated with your comments, we would certainly love for you to just chuck your name in there. What you have to do is just simply streamyard.com/Facebook. Click the blue button. Then instead of me having to keep going back and forth to my phone, Alan Suarez, who loves you, I was able to see it here. People love you, Ray. Alan loves you. I don't know.
I love Alan. Alan Suarez is a great human being. Alan, I'm giving you a special FA shout out, Alan.
Oh, an FA shout out. Okay, but I'm hearing what you're saying is that you're having a show. Say, what did you have? Originally, The Magician Who Disappeared. Was that what was the name of the venue, or can you not say? Is a hotel?
It was in a hotel that ended up being sold a year later. So I moved into that hotel, did it for 1 week just to get my feet wet, and then I go, oh, that went pretty well. And I went back the following month and did it again, and that did even better. And just progressively, just sort of getting my toes wet, so to speak, and it just sort of gradually, like, oh, let's go from 1 week to 2 weeks to a month to so just sort of built it up, and then word got out, and then people started posting things on TripAdvisor, and it became, it's probably a couple of years in, it became the #1 nightlife activity on TripAdvisor. And also the #1 show, although there's not a lot of shows. But nightlife, that's every casino, every restaurant, every bar, everything. So I was very pleased with that, because it was a lot of hard work to get to that point. So that's good. And then, and all the comedians are, who everybody is. They're all terrific. Everybody has real credits and is a seasoned performer. And
totally,
I don't have people that are too dirty, but you also don't have people that are too boring. It's a good.
It's meant for adults. It's not meant for the kiddies. But
right.
What I wanted to say to you though, so if you're just say you're in a hotel, like I'm using any names arbitrarily, in a Marriott, you can't go knocking on the doors of La Quinta or the Ritz or other ones and say, hey, could you promote my show? I'll give, because they're not going to want to do that because they want them to come to their activities.
Right. So basically what you do is you hope that when you meet with enough people, enough staff, enough concierges, let's say, and then they'll come experience the show. And when a guest says to them, what do you recommend I do at night? They'll say, oh, I went to this comedy show. It's really great. You should check it out. I did a big promotion at the airport for a few years. Once COVID happened, that changed. You can't do any.
What was a big promotion? What did that look like? A big promotion?
It's just a thing where, like, everybody who gets off a plane essentially would see something or get something related to the show. And then that went away because with COVID, paper was contaminated, allegedly.
Jesus.
So.
But I'm just really impressed with how hard you do, how you do your shuffle down there, how you make it all happen. I kept calling you magic because everywhere we turned, and I was being sincere. I don't, sometimes you go on a gig and you don't know the person really well. You know of them. You're like, oh, what's this going to be like? I try to be positive and connect, but I'm like, this guy's really fun. He's my new best friend. I'm loving this guy. Because how you treat people. And you just were like the magic mayor of Aruba everywhere we went. You had a connection, except for one night when we had to wait really long at the restaurant that you said they loved you, but whatever.
I was ready to leave. By the way, he came with the chef and the owner. He came over to me at one point and he said, I feel terrible. I'm going to send a bottle of champagne to your table. And then he forgot to send the bottle of champagne. And the next day he sent me a message saying, I feel terrible. I forgot to send you a bottle of champagne. Next time I see you, I'll give you a bottle of champagne. It is what it is. It's okay. The meal was delicious.
I love champagne, so we'll wait till I'm back and we'll get that friggin' champagne. Okay. The meal was fantastic. Let's give a shout out, because those who go to Aruba, tell them that restaurant. It's fantastic.
That restaurant is called Lima Bistro. It's excellent. I'm trying to remember where else we ate that week. Some of my favorite places are Lima Bistro, Quinta del Carmen, Wacky Wahoo, Barefoot, Eduardo's Beach Shack for breakfast and lunch.
But that has like healthy smoothies, you guys, little protein balls, a watermelon ginger juice. It's called the hangover thing, but you don't have to be hungover. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. And I went to this little Dutch joint that's authentic, and I can't pronounce it. It's like, it means sugar, but it's like suikertine. Suikertine.
And right near Suikertine is a terrific place called Anno 1877. And it's phenomenal. It's great.
Well, I went looking for this little Dutch place that was a little bit off the beaten path, just a block or two from the main tourist area. It was so lovely and delicious, authentic, like schnitzel. And I rode a bike that was provided at the wonderful hotel. They have a stack of like 10 of them that haven't been oiled since 1973, and every bit of air, dust, salt. And I never had a harder workout in my life. One speed. That's it. And
you gotta earn it.
I'm telling you, I had a hysterectomy going over some of the stones. I'm like, oh wow, okay. So I get done eating lunch at 2:00, and I get a text from you. You said, Maureen, the guys and I are going to dinner at 7. I go, well, I hope I'll be back by then on this thing. I'm speaking with Aruba Ray Ellin, great comedian. This guy is an entrepreneur. He makes things happen. He uprooted half his life to go to Aruba, half the year, roughly. People, and this is where you host the Aruba Ray comedy shows. When do you host them?
So we do the shows this year, December 1st to April 13th. And pre-pandemic, it was, 5-6 days a week. Right now, we're doing it 3 days a week because, tourism is obviously a lot lower right now, but hoping it'll pick up. Yeah. And it's low all over the island, but it's such a beautiful place to be, and it's safe. And that's really why I started the shows, just so I could, it was a lifestyle choice more than anything that ended up being, a viable business. But I just wanted to spend more time out of the city and on the beach. But I also knew if I was in Aruba, or anywhere for that matter, if I'm anywhere for months and months on end doing nothing, I would go crazy. I could probably do nothing for 10 days, 2 weeks. Oh, but that's what people say to me. Why don't you just live there but I have to keep busy. I have to do things.
You have to do things. You're Aruba Ray. Yeah. Hey, Joey Cola, we love you too, Joey. And Joey's saying, what is he saying? I got to see it here. I multitask. Something about the money. Pay the man the money. Oh,
that's a reference to when you gamble in the casino. In the movie Rounders, John Malkovich's character was a Russian gambler, poker player, who said, "Pay the man his money." That's what Joey liked to say that on the beach quite a bit.
Joey Cola, baby, pay the man his money. You guys, those of you watching on Hanging with Langan group page, just go to streamyard.com/Facebook. Then we see your name. We don't see your name. It's a lot of work on me. You dream, I got to go here. I got to click this. I got to click that. Just Just let me take that off. I'm my own one-person band, and this is
You
what I
work
do.
hard. You
Work
bust
hard.
your ass.
I bust my friggin' ass. So there we have it. Just go to streamyard.com/Facebook, click on the blue button. And what I want to say to you, this is my little quick emotional, this is my emotional break. I had an emotional day. Try to get the healthcare companies helping my father. They don't give a crap. To hell with, I hate these people. All right. So I'm going to just do a little shout out for myself here mid-show. My new special is out. It's called Don't Make Me Hate You, because I don't want to hate people. They make me hate them. And it's at drybarcomedy.com. Love for you guys to just go support. It's $5.99 a month, but if you sign up for the monthly, you'll get the first 30 days free. You don't like it, you got to enter Maureen Langan as the promo code, LANGAN. You don't like it, ditch it after 30 months. I mean, you're going to want to watch mine over and over again. But I'm just
There's
giving
some
you
great specials on Dry Bar. I can't wait to see yours. There's some great specials on there.
I'll send you the link. But so yeah, drybarcomedy.com. This is the mid-show commercial. And I want to give shout outs to Ray, to some of your major social media where people can follow you, particularly about Aruba when they go down there and they hang out in Aruba. So go ahead.
Yeah, ArubaComedy.com. It will give you all the info you need about the shows. Facebook, you can go to Ray Ellin or Aruba Ray's Comedy. Instagram at Aruba Ray's Comedy or at Ray Comedy. LinkedIn is Ray Ellin. And I have another exciting venture I started in the middle of the pandemic. Talk about trying to turn lemons into
limoncello with
limoncello. I started online comedy shows. Started a company called Comedy Cloud, and it's comedycloud.co. And basically, we do live comedy events ideally for your company. We can do them for birthday parties as well. But I did about over 140 of these during the pandemic. And it's a great way for companies to bring employees together that have been working remotely and that continue to work remotely. And it really is a great morale boost. And it's by far the most fun you'll ever have on Zoom. It's really terrific. It's usually myself and 3 or 4 other comedians, all of whom you would recognize from every major TV show. So it's a really, really solid, excellent way to treat your employees, to bond with your employees. And it's really, that was really unexpected. The first time I used Zoom, as soon as I was done, I went ahead and bought some stock in Zoom. and then I started Comedy Cloud. And that was really a great way to beat having so much time alone during lockdown, to develop that business. So.
This is what I have a great deal of respect for you, that you make things happen, whether it be that Comedy Central show this week at the Cellar. Tell me the proper name.
This week at the Comedy Cellar. Yeah.
This week at the Comedy Cellar, you create a show, like a talk show like that, an interview show. You create this 140 Zoom, like that is really, you must have to do a lot of targeted marketing to get to these companies.
That was crazy. So to get all those Zoom shows, a lot of it was word of mouth. There's also, I was fortunate, I did get some pretty good press for that. There's Bloomberg Radio and CBS Radio, and did a TV show on ABC that I actually made an appearance via Zoom. So it really got some good press and great word of mouth. And it was interesting. I mean, there weren't, once everybody, particularly for companies that can no longer meet in person. I mean, we had a lot of activity in July and August, and then November, December, January, it was through the roof, sometimes doing 3 events a day. And it was good because people need to work. Obviously, comedians need to work, and you want to keep the juices flowing. And doing a Zoom show obviously is very different from doing a regular live show in a theater. But it's in many ways it's a lot tougher, and it's more challenging and kind of tiring. The hardest part in many ways was just as soon as you're done with after you do a set, you talk to your fellow comedians, maybe you have a drink, maybe you talk to people from the audience, whatever. But you're alone in your apartment. I live alone. And as soon as the show is done, it's like, and now I'm alone again. It's a real...
It is weird. It's weird. It's not like, I don't know, somebody like me, I don't gamble a lot, but maybe a little blackjack or something after a show, just a few hands or something. I mean, slot machine. But anyway, but see, I used to work for Bloomberg Radio. So, and then you got it on the press or the attention from all these different outlets. Did you market? Did you have a press release? Did you target the producer?
There was a press release, and I hired somebody for a couple months to work on that as well, a marketing company. And then it's just myself, just, using social media and just emailing every company. A lot of companies I've done live events for in the past. We did one show for one company, and then that turned into 8 more shows for their different offices they have around the country. So that was pretty great. It was a really solid event. And then he just let everybody know at his company, what they'd experienced. So it really is, Comedy Cloud it truly is the best way to bring employees that are working remotely together. We've done events where it was 11 a.m. Eastern time, and we did a show for a company that had employees in 5 different time zones. We were in New York, Nashville, California, London, and Australia. So you had people that were sipping coffee and other people that were sipping whiskey, and it was fun. It was really fun, and it's challenging challenging enough to wake up that early for me. But never mind, to perform at 11 a.m.
But companies like you and I have worked corporate events.
Yeah.
They can be very scary in terms of they want comedy, but not really comedy. But don't make fun of anyone with your comedy. So did you find it looser on Zoom? Did you find they set a different tone?
No, it was very similar. I mean, they were so worried. It got to the point where I would preemptively say to prospective companies, I would say to them, listen, just as if we were doing the show in person. We don't do racial material. We don't do political material. We keep it pretty clean. If you want it to be totally clean, no problem. But we already know, for a corporate event, don't do, race politics, and you shouldn't be cursing left and right. I think there were 2 events out of 100, over 140, 148, whatever it was. There were 2 where they said, do whatever you want. I said, really, whatever we want? They said, do whatever you want. Now, I didn't tell my fellow comics we could do whatever we want. I just said, we can be a little dirtier on this one. Cause you don't need people to completely, let loose. It'll get ugly. But here's one company, one bank, one financial services company was really like over the top. They're like, well, we need to have a meeting before the show, blah, blah, blah. And at which, they ended up actually, they wanted to meet with every comedian prior to the event. And again, it was just to reiterate everything I just said to you, Maureen. And it was just so over the top cautious. And I'm like, have you guys ever done anything as a group?
You ever laughed? Have you ever?
Yeah. Did you ever take your employees out in person before the pandemic? Like, it was very peculiar, but I get it. People are afraid. Everyone's, worried. The HR department's very cautious. But it worked out. It worked out great. And again, it was so nice to be able to keep busy during. Certainly, I mean, globally, it's the scariest. Certainly, it has been the scariest time of our lives. I mean, I wasn't around during World War I or II or Vietnam or so.
Korea, Desert Storm. You weren't in it. But let me ask you this though, Ray. So, could you have gotten away with the material that we did at your comedy club in Aruba?
No, I would be. I'm. Not that as you know, I'm not vulgar, but I'm definitely dirtier in the club in Aruba. And it says everywhere, your shows are intended for a mature audience. If people want to bring their kids, that's fine. I once had a guy. Do we have to be clean on this, Maureen?
No, speak freely.
So I had this guy showed up at the club with 2 9-year-olds, and I said to him, there's a little language during the shows, and in front of his kids, he goes, we don't fucking care. I'm like, come on in. So that was fine. That's a parental choice. But right. No, but on the Zoom shows, I'm cleaner than I was when we were
I can see you clean it up. Do you do the your math problem?
No, I did not.
Different ethnic people. Okay, okay. Just see how I asked that question. Do you see how I asked it?
Sure.
But my guest, before we wrap this up, I want to have a few more minutes with you. My guest is Aruba Ray Ellin. He's a comedian from New York who chucks it all for 6 months of the year, heads down to Aruba, is the mayor down there, the magic mayor. Everybody loves Ray. Ray knows everyone. And has a comedy club at the Holiday Inn. Let me show you a picture because this is how gorgeous a view from Langan's room. Look at that. Thank you, Ray. Beautiful. And what I noticed, a couple of things I noticed about that stood out to me in Aruba. I've been to islands. This is vastly different in terms of there isn't the poverty that you see everywhere else with and it's heartbreaking with people with a stack of hats trying to sell you, beads trying to sell, and you buy some, but you can only buy so many. And the tuba band going by, hoping to bring attention, which is heartbreaking. The thing about Aruba that I noticed is you don't see that poverty. You see hardworking people, you see very wealthy people. And what really stood out to me is to find out that most people speak 4 languages. Dutch, because it's a colony. I didn't know you were allowed to still be a colony. I thought that was so like not politically correct, whatever. And it's working for them. English, Spanish, and I had no idea papiamento. Yep. I remember it by going papamentos, like Mentos candies, papamentos, which is a colloquial island language. I think Curacao and Aruba, it's indigenous to that area. Yeah. But I remember I was thinking, I stopped my one speed bike that I took hours to ride, and I do these little mini videos. And I said, it just dawned on me. They speak 4 in America, where I was like, you better speak American. Some people are like that. You speak American. It's English. But, and I thought, here I am a week in Aruba. They speak 4 languages, and not one person said, honey, you're in Aruba. You better speak papiamento.
Well, it's funny you say that because for a while when I was first coming down and I was becoming friends with people and I was speaking more Spanish sometimes, not always, but occasionally. And eventually one person said to me, you should try to speak papiamento to us, meaning to someone who's from Aruba. Oh. And I thought about it. I'm like, they're right. If I'm going to be here this much and I'm becoming friends with people, I think it's respectful to try to learn the language. So, mita papi papimento un tiki so, pasabantarde morin. I just said I can speak a little papiamento in papiamento. And I said, good afternoon, Maureen.
I like it. Say a little more like it. Talk to me some more, papiamento.
If you look like this and then, and you go walk up to someone who's Aruban and say, Kiko te Kiko, they'll just start laughing because that is like the most slang thing you can say. It means it's like saying, hey, what's up? What's happening? And they're like, how the hell do you know that? And you're
say it slower.
Kiko ta Kiko.
Kiko ta Kiko. And what about them calling everybody douchey? What was that?
Yeah, the word douchey, D-U-S-H-I, is a term of endearment. It means sweetie or pretty, or you could say this food is douchey. You could say, oh, you look so douchey. Hopi douchey, which means, very, very douchey. And so
what is it, Hopi douchey?
Hopi, H-O-P-I, Hopi douchey is very douchey. So usually men say it to women and women will say it to men. And it's all day long. You find yourself saying that somebody helps you out at the store. Donkey douchey, thank you douchey.
Thank you, donkey. That sounds.
Yeah. So like Pete Lee loves saying that. He loves saying donkey douchey all day long. He just randomly likes to say that. But it's really, So, mi quiero dene hamaca. I like to sleep in a hammock. These are important phrases you need to know.
They are. They're urgent. They're actually urgent phrases. All right. But what would you say to people who look at your life? Because I see the work you do to make that magic happen. What would you say to somebody who wanted to just uproot their life and go to Aruba?
Specifically to Aruba or anywhere?
Yeah, specifically to Aruba.
Well, specifically to Aruba, I just think it depends what phase you're at in your life. I mean, there's some people who do come into Aruba and retire in Aruba. They get a house and they just sort of live a very nice, pleasant, tranquil life. And there's delicious restaurants and some of the greatest beaches in the world and lovely people. And there's almost next to no crime here. You can go anywhere and you're safe. And it's a wonderful place. I mean, it's a beautiful place. But if you're going to actually try to, do any sort of business, like anything, you need to work at it. The most successful places in Aruba, I think it's runs along with the most successful businesses anywhere. And that's when someone who cares deeply about the service or product is there. You know, when you look at Eduardo's, for example, Eduardo's Beach Shack, Eduardo or his wife Michelle or one of his kids is always at one of their 5 businesses, you know, overseeing everything. So that's pretty important. And also, I mean, you know, I would never pick up and just move someplace completely. Like I eased myself into Aruba and just wanted to be here, you know, more and more frequently. But, you know, I'm still in New York. There's still other TV and film projects I'm working on. So I need to be in New York some of the time. I still love being in New York some of the time. When I'm in New York, I mostly work at the Comedy Cellar, and that's always fun. And then so it's mostly New York, Aruba, some Boston, some LA, and wherever I randomly go. I haven't been to other parts of the world since I've been coming to Aruba, just because I love it so much. So a trip to Europe is long overdue. I was going to come to Aruba I was going to go to Europe in May of 2020. And then obviously March, everything changed. So I probably will spend a month in Europe, I think this May. That's what I'd like to do.
Oh, August, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in August.
That's what I think I might do.
Come with me to Edinburgh. I'm going to Edinburgh. You go to Edinburgh. I'm doing my Don't Make Me Hate You show, but I'm also doing an American Comic and Friends.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I got to get some friends. I don't have them yet, but I got to get some friends. But if you do, you can be on that and you do your own show too.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Great. Be fun. It's really great.
We could be just like the woman who brought me to Aruba. We're traveling together, totally platonic.
Totally platonic. I will say, please, Ray, enough. No, the answer is no. It's absolutely no. But I'm serious about you looking into Edinburgh. And I'm serious. I'm doing an American Comic and Friends. Might be a variety show, not just comics, because they have all kinds. They have a harpist from Belfast who sings crazy songs but looks so classical. Wow. They had Frank Sinatra, a guy dressed up like Hitler but looked like Frank Sinatra songs. I'm like, that's insane.
Wait, did he sing them with a German accent? Or
yes, it was insane.
Really? So he's like, I did it my way.
Yes. And I'm going to send you a picture of Frank Sinatra.
That's kind of hilarious.
But anyway, think about it if you're going to Europe, because it's a really cool thing to do. Sure. And I know you always Jones for New York, though. No matter how much you're in Aruba, you can't leave New York from your heart. It has to be.
Absolutely. It's easy when it's 19 degrees in New York. It makes it much easier. I mean, I do enjoy going on my weather apps and having some temperature porn, because when I see it's like, 11 degrees, that gets me so titillated.
You're so crazy. Listen, I'm so glad that I got to spend time with you and get to know you better, really and truly.
Thank you, too.
I want you to follow Ray Ellin. There he is with his microphone. You want Aruba Ray. What do you want people to mostly follow you at, since you're so popular?
You could go on Instagram, at Ray Comedy, Facebook, Ray Ellin, at Aruba Ray's Comedy on either Facebook or Instagram. And please check out comedycloud.co. If you need an event, you need to do a virtual event, you have, staff or friends or spread out around the country, Comedy Cloud is the best way to entertain and bond with your group. For sure.
He's right. And listen, go get my Dry Bar Comedy special, Don't Make Me Hate You, at drybarcomedy.com. And you can also get Don't Make Me Hate You merchandise. It cracks me up. We can get so much. You get onesies, masks, coasters, notebooks, clocks, a t-shirt. We got it all here. Just go to maureenlangen.com/store. All will be revealed. And if you want to be a subscriber to this and see all the video, all the audio is on all the major podcast platforms. But patreon.com is where you get to see all the chats, the video they call talk show video. All right. So you guys, you know the routine. Until we meet again.
No, you cannot leave me like that.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, and feel free to share it with a friend.
Please don't go, please.
I'll be back.
Au revoir.